Today we're talking about 20 filmmaking terms every filmmaker should know if your goal is to be on a big set. So let's get into it. Hollywooding. Now, Hollywooding normally refers to holding a light via your hand or a boom arm. And the whole point is either you just have lack of time, you don't have enough space to have a bunch of C-stands up, or your talent is moving a lot and you need to be able to just move with them to keep a consistent key on them. Basically, Hollywooding just means we need to be more mobile with our lights and we need to move fast with talent as they move. Back to one, aka reset. That just means we're going back to the beginning of this particular take to reshoot it. Now, instead of saying cut every single time something goes wrong, if talent says their line, or if a prop moved and wasn't in the right place, or if something happened with lighting, instead of saying cut, unless it's gonna be a long change, if it's just a quick like, oh, talent said the wrong word, let's just go back to one, let's just reset and go back to our first mark and just reshoot it from the beginning. Martini. Now, everyone loves to hear the word martini, and not because martinis are great drinks, even though they may be to some, but because it means that it's the last shot of the day. So when you hear martini and you've worked the 8 to 12 hour day, long days, you tired, it's nighttime and you want to go home and go to sleep, when you hear martini, that just means, hey, you're one shot away from being able to wrap all this up and go home, or potentially go to a bar and get you a nice martini after a long day. Either way, it just means that it's the last shot of the day. Camera speeds are speeding. Now, you're gonna hear this from two departments. One, audio department. So if the AD or the director is like, all right, let's roll, audio will say, and their reply will be audio speeding, and same to camera. Camera will be like camera speeding. So A speeding, B speeding, C speeding, depending on what cameras you have, or camera speeding, and that just lets the AD and director know that we're rolling on both audio as well as camera, and so we're ready to shoot this take. 86. 86 means we're gonna scratch and cancel whatever it is. So whether that is a light that we may no longer need, a prop or set design we may no longer need, or a scene that we may no longer need, we're gonna 86 it. I don't need it. Take it away. The next word is going to be tails. So instead of marking your shot at the beginning with the slate, before you actually start going on with the take, you actually do it at the end of that particular take. And there's a couple reasons why. Sometimes you just got to hurry up and get this shot off, like, hey, let's just tails it. We need to start rolling. Let's tails it and get it at the end. And so it could be a time thing. It could be whatever. But most times you'll say, hey, we're going to tails it. We're going to just mark this particular shot for post at the end instead of at the beginning. And like a little fun tip is that normally when you tails, you actually turn the slate upside down just so your editor can know that this is a tail slate and not, you know, and we didn't slate at the beginning. Striking. Now you're gonna hear striking a lot from your G&E crew because that just means that they're about to turn a light on. And the reason why that is important is because it could be very jarring to the eye, especially if it's been dark this whole time and they're about to turn this really powerful light on. You may be in front of the light or in the way, and we don't want to mess up your eyes or whatever that looks like. So they're gonna say striking when they turn this light on to, one, let you know that we're turning a light on, but two, make sure you don't look into the way of the direction of the light as we're about to turn it on, because again, it can be really jarring to the eye. So we're just letting everybody know we're striking this light, we're turning it on, so be prepared. 10-1. Now these are the type of terms that I use on my daily basis as well as on set. And one of those terms is 10-1. That just means you have to go and use the bathroom. Specifically, you have to do the number 1. And the reason why I really like saying this, and now I say it to my friends whenever I have to use the bathroom and we're out, I'm like, hey guys, I got a 10-1. They be like, girl. And it's because it just sounds more professional. You don't want to be on a set and you're like, oh, I got to go use the bathroom to your director or the client, or, oh, you know, I got to go pee. You want to be like, oh, 10-1, and everybody knows that you have to use the bathroom. Another word to that is 10-2, and that just means you got to do the number 2. And I feel like people usually don't say 10-2. Most people just be like, I got to go 10-1, even if they actually have to go in 10-2. But if it's going to be like a really long 10-2 and you know it might be long, then you might want to tell your friend like, hey, yo, I got to go 10-2. If they ask where I'm at, that's where I'm at if it takes a long time. But it's really just to let people know, like, you had to go use the bathroom. So if people are looking for you, they're like, where is so-and-so? It's like, oh, she had to go use the bathroom. She had to 10-1. She'll be back. So it's just to monitor also where you are, but also that's to just professionally say I have to use the bathroom. Points, points, points. Now, when you hear the word points, that means get out the way. Either production or set design may be coming with some furniture, something that's pretty big. And at the end of the day, being on set is all about safety. And so when they say points, they're like, hey, we need everybody to get out the way. We need camera to move because we're bringing in something that may hit it or they may affect it and it could hurt or potentially harm it. And so if lighting is like points, maybe they're bringing in a Dana dolly and it, again, if you're in the way, it can hurt you. Even if they're bringing in lights and stuff or C-stands, you'll hear points because they just want you to not be in the way. Crossing. Now, crossing can be used for a lot of ways. You know, you could talk about crossing when you're talking with talent, but most times that I hear crossing is when you're crossing camera. And again, it could go when you're talking and you're blocking and you're talking about crossing, but specifically crossing camera if, let's say we're trying to get our shot up and, you know, somebody's in the way or somebody needs to cross camera and it's going to interfere with what we see for getting our shot up. It's going to go black for a second. The polite thing to say is, hey, crossing just means I'm crossing camera. So if I interfere with your shot for a quick second, my apologies. So not only is it like if you're trying to get your shot up, but even for talent, if talent's gonna cross camera, you're even hear the DP say, all right, this time for this, I want you to cross camera. It kind of is all one and the same. New deal. Now, new deal you really hear on like more feature sets. I don't think I've, even on smaller sets, I've heard somebody say new deal, but that just means they were going to a completely different setup. Not just a different scene or take, because the take could be in the same setup, but we're doing a whole new setup. So light's gonna change, production design and set may change, camera movement and camera is going to change. And so that may take time. And so when we say new deal, it just means we're doing a whole new setup. And so maybe give us some time or let's prep for the next setup. Room tone. Now, you're gonna hear this a lot from your sound department, and everybody, whether you're on a big set or a small set, should be recording room tone. A really good audio sound engineer knows to always get room tone, period. It's a safety thing for post. And that just means that audio is going to be recording their environment without dialogue. So most times when they say, hey, can I get room tone? They're like, everybody in this room needs to be quiet. I don't want to hear a peep because I need to get the environmental sounds just so you can either add it into your post audio or it kind of helps you when you need to get rid of certain things in post audio. But you should always be recording room tone, period. Eyeline. Now this is extremely important for talent, but it's just also extremely important for you as a DP and as a director because you do not want anyone to be in talent's eyeline. When I was shooting behind the scenes on The Women King and The Idea of You with Anne Hathaway, there were times where I had to make sure shooting BTS and trying to get my shot that I wasn't in their eyeline because that can just completely take them away from this character that they're trying to like engross themselves in. And like I would say Viola Davis and Anne Hathaway are both method actors. And so the minute something shifts or moves in their eyeline, it completely takes them out. And that could be a big issue because they could have been doing a really good take and then one movement that you did because you were in their way and they're in their eyeline, it just took them all the way out. And now they have to redo that again and you could be in big trouble. And so as a DP and as a director, you don't want your camera team or you don't want anybody to be in talent's eyeline. The last short film that I did, I had to clear everybody from the room because talent, it was a very emotional scene that we were shooting and they didn't want a lot of movement happening. They didn't want anything that would take them away, but they also didn't want people in their way, in their eyeline or their view of where the direction that they have to look. So if camera is my eyeline, I don't want you in front of camera because I have to look at that. If my eyeline is a 45 degree to the left or right of camera, I don't want you standing there because I have to look that way. And so it's just like I need to focus type of situation, but it can be, it can really affect them mentally if they're trying to really engross themselves in their character and you're just in their eyeline doing things, moving, and then just your face. And sometimes they can't concentrate. So it's a concentration thing, but it's very important to your talent. And so it's a term that you should know because you want to make sure that your talent can really give what they need to give for the story, and that can affect it. Hot brick. Now, I don't hear this a lot, but it's still a good term to know, and that just means that it's a fully charged battery for your walkie-talkie. And the reason why it could be important is because we're using walkie-talkies all the time, especially if it's more than 20 people on a set. You're going to use headsets, but you're also potentially going to use walkie-talkies. And so throughout the day, you might need new hot bricks because, you know, your walkie might be dying. And so hot brick just means it's a fully charged battery for your walkie-talkie. Pictures up. Pictures up just means cameras up and we're ready to roll. That's pretty much it. You're going to hear the AD say pictures up, and that's like, all right, let's go. Let's get ready to roll. Simple as that. Blocking. Now, I talked about this in my last video, but blocking is crucial when you are trying to like figure out where lighting needs to go, where camera needs to go. You do a lot of blocking in pre-production when you go, you know, to the location and try to scout it out. But you also do blocking like before you even bring cameras and lighting in. You're going to probably do blocking with the talent just to make sure, you know how things are going to move when you shoot this and where camera needs to be and where lighting needs to be and not need to be. So blocking is really important when you're trying to get your take done. It's just working out where all the positions of your camera, your camera and your talent and your lighting is all going to be for that particular shot. Last looks. Last looks is probably a makeup artist and hairstylist favorite term because that just means like, hey, we're about to start rolling, but let's get a last look on talent just in case their makeup needs to be fixed and changed or their hair needs to be fixed and changed. This is your last opportunity to do that before we start rolling. So, you know, for a makeup artist and a hairstylist, they want to make sure everything looks good. And so you're going to hear, you know, the AD say last looks because we need to start rolling. Make sure they're not shiny and glistening and glossing unless it's the good thing. Final touch-ups, now is the time. MOS, aka mit out sound. That just means that you're probably going to film a scene without sound. I'm not a huge fan of MOS, but if you know for a fact that you're going to put music under this or you're going to put, you know, ADR or something, then MOS is, you know, you don't necessarily need sound. I'm always down to just shoot ambient sound, but there are times where, you know, that can be a lot because now you got to get the sound, you know, person and all that. So if you know for sure that you're not going to need sound for this particular scene or take, then they may say MOS, and that just means that we're not going to get any sound for this. So audio isn't even going to be rolling. Flying in. Flying in means we're bringing something in. We're flying in a lens because we decided to change the lens. We're flying in a light. We're flying in a prop. It just means we're bringing something into the scene, so we need a quick second. Or they even say talent is flying in. Oh, we went to go get, you know, number one on the call sheet, and they're flying in. So again, it's like if people are just waiting, we're like, what we were on, we're flying in talent, we're flying in a prop, we're flying in something that is necessary for this particular scene. And the last one as we wrap up this video is wrap. Now, I'm sure you all heard this term before, and that just means that we're done with the shoot day. We've shot all the scenes, we've shot all the takes. Now it is time to wrap, take up all this gear, pack it up, and head on out. So those are the 20 filmmaking terms that you should know. There are a plethora more of terms, but I didn't want to bombard y'all with too many. 20 is already a stretch and it's already a lot, but hopefully you were writing this down and you had your pen and paper because these are truly going to help you. So the more you just know what these are, the better and more professional it's going to be for you when you're on set. Again, my page is not to just show you lighting. It's not to just show you how to shoot things on set, but it's to give you the full set experience from the beginning to the end. And again, with something like film terminology, it's often overlooked because on these smaller sets, you don't hear it as much. But if your goal is to eventually shoot features, if your goal is to continue to grow in filmmaking, this is something that you should utilize on your sets, big or small. It separates you, it shows the professionalism, and it shows the experience. And so hopefully this helped you all. Let me know if it did. Share this with your friends. Like this video. Please make sure that you all subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, of course, and I'll see you in the next video.